It was supposed to be a regular morning. Nothing out of the ordinary. James, a black man in his mid-30s, had just finished a meeting downtown and decided to treat himself to a cup of coffee before heading to work. He pushed open the door of the small cafe, the scent of roasted beans still clinging to his clothes as he stepped onto the sidewalk. The warmth of the cup in his hands was comforting against the crisp morning air. He took a slow sip, savoring the rich taste, and glanced around. The city was alive with its usual rhythm. People rushing to work, cars honking in the distance, conversations blending into a familiar urban hum. It was just another day. As he strolled toward his car, parked a block away, he was relaxed, lost in thought about his to-do list for the day. Then, suddenly, screech. The sharp sound of tires gripping pavement jolted him out of his thoughts. His body tensed instinctively, but he didn't react right away. Living in the city, loud noises were common, cars stopping short, cabs braking hard. It could have been anything. But then he saw it. The flashing red and blue lights. His stomach clenched, a familiar unease settling in his chest. The police car had pulled up fast, too fast, like someone was in a rush to catch something. Or someone. And in that moment, James already knew. "Hey, stop right there," a voice shouted. James turned, confusion spreading across his face. A white police officer was storming toward him, his hand gripping the holster of his gun like he was ready to draw. The tension in the air was instant, heavy. James had felt it before. "Put your hands where I can see them." The cop barked, his voice sharp, filled with authority and something else, assumption. James frowned, but slowly raised his hands, his coffee slipping from his grip and splashing onto the pavement. "What's the problem, officer?" His voice was steady, but his heart pounded. "You match the description of a suspect," the cop snapped, stepping closer. His eyes flickered with something James recognized, certainty. The certainty that he was right, that James was guilty of something. James sighed, his chest tightening. He'd been here before, too many times. "What suspect?" he asked, his voice laced with exhaustion. "Don't play smart," the cop shot back, as if the question itself was disrespectful. Before James could say another word, the officer grabbed his wrist and spun him around. The cuffs clicked too tight around his wrists, digging into his skin. A hush fell over the street. People on the sidewalk had stopped. Some pulled out their phones, recording, while others just watched, their faces blank, unreadable. No one stepped in. No one ever did. James inhaled deeply. He kept his voice calm. "Officer, my wallet is in my pocket." The cop scoffed, rolling his eyes like it was a tired excuse. Still, he reached into James's pocket, his fingers brushing against leather. He pulled it out carelessly, flipping it open, then froze. His face changed in an instant. The color drained from it. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. The badge in his hands gleamed under the morning sun. "FBI." James turned his head slightly. "Now uncuff me." The officer's hands shook as he fumbled with the cuffs. There was a report." James exhaled slowly. "There always is." The cop stammered, but James didn't wait. He grabbed his badge, adjusted his shirt, and gave the officer one last look before walking away. Just another day. Another reminder. Even with a badge, his skin was still a threat.